thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. This is our 13th session in 13 weeks. So we have been trying to keep this going for this long, and it has been all with your encouragements and supports that I have been able to do that and bring awesome people on the call to share their experience with us. Just I'm gonna give you a bit of housekeeping. Just make sure that your audio is on silent all the time. um, I will try to make sure that you guys are on mute, so please make sure that you do the same thing. If you have any questions, please put it on the chat box. We are gonna address your questions at the end of the session. So we will have enough time for your questions at the end of the session. So, and the recording of the session will be also available at the end.
Hello,
we will make sure that you have the recording of the session available to you, and you can also go into the TCAE website and see the recording of the sessions, even the past ones that you were not able to join. You can always go there and you can listen to all the recordings of the previous sessions. I just want to give you guys a bit of background about myself and who I am, and who is TCAE and what do we do. So I've been in regulatory compliance and financial crime for the past 14 years. Majority of my career have been in Middle East. I have worked in Dubai for almost 13 years, and I moved to Toronto around a year ago. And currently I'm working with one of the international banks and covering their anti-bribery and corruption program for the Canada and Latin America. I started TCAE perhaps, I think, around 8 months ago. So Stephen has got a huge role in that, which I'm always grateful for him to inspire me to do that. So he has been there, my support, and he, when I started the TCA, or when I came up with the idea of the TCA, was just to, I remember I messaged him and I wasn't really sure if this is a good thing or not. I just messaged him, I said, Stephen, I have an idea in my head and I'm thinking to create a group where I could bring in all the events that are happening in Toronto and put it in a place, a centralized place. And his first comment to me was like, sure, do it. And yeah, go ahead, just do it. And I was like, okay, fine, I will start doing it. And then he came back and told me that he had received more than 100 messages similar to that. And there were a lot of people, with that same idea, but they never went through. So so I think he just inspired me to just prove him wrong. Say that no, I'm a bit different and I could do this differently. So I came up with the name, and I sent him the logo and I sent him the name, and I told him that this is the way that I wanted to do, and he said, yeah, go ahead and do it. So I started off 8 months ago with the TCAE, and since then we tried to enhance it and make it better. I think it was during the downtime that I started the knowledge series, and beginning or end of March it was that I started the knowledge series, and I said this is one of the ways that we could help out everyone to just make sure that we concentrate on the things that we can focus right now. There were a lot of negativity. There were a lot of negative vibes around, and what I wanted to make sure that we concentrate on the things that it could enhance and benefit us. So that was the inspiration behind, and I wanted to make sure that we could everyone, all the community in compliance and AML could benefit from this downtime. So that was the reason behind of starting the knowledge series. And with that, I have invited the the experts, the industry experts, the subject matter experts, to share their experience and knowledge with us. And um, that had been really, really good journey for me so far. And seeing a lot of you on the call every week, it gives me motivation to do more and more for the community. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for supporting me, for supporting TCAE, for supporting the knowledge series. And, you guys, like really, really inspire me, to do more. So I really appreciate all your support. I love the messages that you send me all the time, tons of my inbox is loaded with messages of you. I really appreciate, the time that, you take to do that for us. Um, so, um, so yeah, with that, I want to start off introducing this week's speaker, Stephen, who is a great inspirer of mine. He had been there and he had been a support. And I'm sure that not only me, he had been a support for so many of you. So if you are a foreign professional coming into Canada and you wanted to start your career, I think everyone knows Stephen and how helpful he had been, throughout so many of your career journeys. And he had been in mine. And that's why I really love to, I really love this session, because I'm sure that he's gonna inspire so many of you, to be more and to do more. So thank you, Stephen, for joining our session, and thank you for being our speaker of the knowledge series. And I'll give the floor to you, to tell a bit more about yourself to everyone and to inspire us.
I appreciate it, Susan. You've done so much in such a little period of time, and a lot of the conversation I'm going to have today is going to be focused on our interactions from when you were in Dubai and how you were able to navigate the Canadian system that is very difficult for foreign professionals. Guys, I'm so thankful you're here. I'll go through our agenda items just to give you a little background. You can kind of read the bio right there. I do work for a cryptocurrency exchange from a consultancy standpoint, but just to give you understand where I am now, about 3 years ago, I didn't even know what the word or the acronym AML meant, to be quite honest. I was working as a paralegal. I wanted to get into the fintech and cryptocurrency space. I have no sales background. I'm still not very technical. And one of the podcast hosts I was listening to talked about getting in as a compliance officer because there was going to be regulations coming in. So I tried to transition. I went from paralegal, I transitioned to AML. He gave me a whole list of things I need to do, including doing my ACAMs. And before you start in any new industry, it's best to reach out to people that are in the industry. So basically, I just searched the term CAMs in LinkedIn, and I pretty much reached out to 400 to 500 professionals that had their CAMs, were in AML. I see Jabril's on the call. Jabril was one of the nicest people. When I met him, he actually asked me if I wanted to go for coffee, and he would help me out. So it's interesting that I was the one looking for advice, and Jabril, I'll always remember how much he helped me at the start, giving me a wealth of information. So basically, I took all the information from people like Jabril and Peter and Amber, and then I've started putting that information out because I realized there wasn't a lot of information on LinkedIn on how to get started in this industry. So I basically took all the trends I was seeing and I put it out there, and that's where I got a little bit of traction on LinkedIn. And as similar to Susan, the more you do, the more ideas come in, the more people come to you with questions, you start realizing that you have something special, that you have an understanding of what's going on in the industry. So I talk really fast, so I'm glad this conversation is recorded so you can play it at maybe 3/4 of speed. I'm going to let Susan jump into this conversation because she has a wealth of knowledge for you guys. And this conversation is just going to be very much so. It's not going to be very slide heavy. on the agenda items, we're going to talk about getting over your fears. I'm going to talk about a little bit of my thought process when it comes to LinkedIn, the art of actually thinking outside the box. And then I'm going to try and teach you guys what I think would make you really stand out in this industry based on what I'm seeing. And then we'll go through what the knowing doing gap is, and then we'll go through some question and answers. We'll throw in a couple polls in there, but for the most part, that will be the agenda. So just to get the disclaimers out of the way, my thoughts are my own. They don't represent any company I consult for. Don't worry about the slides, guys. Really what I want you to do is grab a pen and paper. This conversation is supposed to spark something into you. Like the same way that when Susan was sitting at that table when we were doing the workshop, she had that idea. The idea was always there, but she finally realized that there's a support system to help her out. So you can see by the amount of people on this call, Susan's created a huge support system for you guys. So take out your pen and paper. Don't worry about the slides or seeing the slides after. Write down the ideas that are coming to your head. And if you need any help, there's about 200 people on this call that can help you out. You can always reach out to me and Susan. We'll try to get back to you as quickly as possible. This is my experience, so I don't want people to think that you have to do it my way. I would take everything I say with a grain of salt because this is based on what I've experienced and what I've seen other people experience in the industry. Personal branding is tough to teach because it's personal. I want you guys to do what's your strengths, what makes you feel excited, what keeps you up at night, and makes you want to work harder. So just use these ideas, but apply your own uniqueness to it. I think that's what makes it interesting. Let's be social. I encourage everyone to post about this event. You guys always do a great job for TCAE in that matter. Get a little creative, take some screenshots, do some funny faces, especially now with the summer coming, it's fun. And lastly, I just want to thank you guys. As Susan said, the amount of messages and support I get from you guys is really unreal, and from Susan and TCAE. The amount of opportunities I have because you guys are amplifying all the posts I'm making on LinkedIn, I couldn't thank you guys enough. You guys have literally made my career, and this is the least I can do to help kind of contribute. So let's jump right into it. We're going to talk a little bit about what you're scared of. So the rest of this conversation won't really matter if you're too scared to post on things like LinkedIn or if you're too scared to share your thoughts. And this is just a compilation of some of the reasons why I think you guys might be scared. When I started out in the industry, I felt like I had nothing to talk about. So I didn't have the experience. I didn't have the 30 years of experience of Peter Warwick's and the Charlene Cheslick. So I was very scared to kind of go out there and put myself out there. But what I realized is like going through the process of not knowing what to do, going through the process of gathering information is just as useful because there's tons of people going through that process and they don't even know how to start that process. So if you're scared that you have nothing to talk about what you're doing. Gary Vee always talks about document over creating. So just talk about what you're doing, talk about the process. You hear Susan's story. She's just going through the motions of talking to you guys about everything that she's done up until this point. So I don't have enough experience is always the one that catches people. But you have to think about it on the flip side. There's people in really senior positions that would love to do things that Susan's doing, but they're scared that they're too senior to kind of do some of those things and be creative and think outside the box. So even if you think you don't have enough experience, there's people with a ton of experience that actually maybe they're scared to post because they're at high positions. So trying to find those people and help them get the information out there is a super key. So you may not have all the experience, but similar to what Susan does, she reaches out to the people that does have the experiences and gives them a platform to share that. And this is the one I get all the time. I'm scared of what my employer is gonna think. Reality, I don't know for every banking institution really what restrictions there are on posting on social media. I would say this, on LinkedIn, if you're sharing your own thoughts and ideas and you're commenting on articles, I believe you don't have anything to be worried about. As I say, take that with a grain of salt. I do not know what organization you work for. But unless you're coming out there and being controversial or being disrespectful, I really don't think your employer really cares what you're doing. And I think a lot of people use that as a crutch, to be quite honest. And I'm going to be very real in this conversation. People use that as an excuse where they don't post and they say, oh, my employer is going to say this or my employer is going to say that. When in reality, your employer doesn't really care what you post online unless you're getting them in trouble. And the same people that do say that, I see them post on Instagram and Facebook anyway. So you guys really should be using that as an excuse. I think the one that most people are concerned about is their coworkers. To be quite honest, when I started coming out with my podcast in 2017, I didn't really receive a ton of support. A lot of people made jokes and crack jokes about what I was doing, and I didn't have enough experience. And they would make jokes like Mr. Podcast, which I love because I think everyone does it in a friendly way. But I don't think you really should care about what anyone else is doing. This is for you. You're sharing your ideas. You're posting about your own experiences, and then you have to take it in the same situation. For myself, when I post, I'm like, if I can give value to one person, that's better than not posting at all. So a lot of people want to post and see Susan's post and she has 500 or 5,000 views and all these comments, and they get scared like, if I post something, nobody will care. And maybe nobody will care at the start. If you guys go back to my earlier post, definitely nobody cared about anything I was doing for over a year and a half. So I encourage you guys to still post. Don't be worried about the comments or the likes or the vanity metrics. If nobody shows up, I guarantee there'll be at least one supporter. And I think that's what I preach so much in the workshop to people like Susan and Anish, is that no matter what you guys do, I'll at least support what you're doing. And that, to me, that's good enough. You'll get better, right? You start out, the TCAE started out with just an events group, and look how it's evolved over such a short period of time. But if she was too scared to start it in the first place, like, all these amazing things wouldn't have happened. And I think some of the things that people are not talking about is that they're scared that they feel like they're bragging or boasting online about their accomplishments. So I see a lot of people not posting because they don't want to post that they completed the certificate. They don't want to post about their new promotion because they're scared of what other people will say. But I think what you have to realize, guys, is that what you put out there is what you're attracting. I talk about speaking. I talk about going to events and hosting events because I want to meet other people that are speakers. I want to meet people that need speakers and that like my sense of humor. So I'm not scared to post about comedy. Is everyone going to like that? Of course not. Is that going to ruin some opportunities? Most likely, yes. But I want to work and collaborate with the people that are like me, that have the same sense of humor as me. And I think that's where you have to be authentic to who you are. If you have a sarcastic, you guys see my posts, it's riddled with sarcasm, it's riddled with emojis. I remember when I started, everyone said, you shouldn't put emojis on LinkedIn. It's not professional. People aren't going to take you seriously. And now every guide on LinkedIn I see says, add emojis, add your personality. So at the time you do things, it may not seem right, but if you're doing things that are true to you, and if anyone's communicated me in the DMs, I use emojis, I use GIFs, memes. That's just the way I communicate. Susan, I'm interested. Was there anything you were truly scared of when you started out your journey?
Oh, many things, Stephen. Especially, I remember one of my major, I think, part was that I was a newcomer to Canada, and I was so scared on how the community would perceive me and how would I bring my past experience to the new environment that I'm gonna be in. So it was a lot of scary thoughts in my head. I had no idea that if even, when I did the TCA, I was like telling you that I'm not really sure this is something that, it will be useful for anyone. Um, but then I started to realize that, fear is going to be there. Even if I do it, if I don't do it, the fear is going to be there. So why not to try it out, and why not, to test it out and see that, what would be, um, when you face your fear, what would be the next step? What can I do, to make sure that, I overcome that fear? I remember, the first post that I wanted to do on LinkedIn. I did so many posts before that, but like the first real post when I kind of landed and I wanted to share it with everyone, I remember I read it like a million times. I was so scared I'm not having any spelling mistake. I don't have any grammar mistake. I was my own critic, to be honest. I was criticizing myself more than anyone else was really doing it.
Exactly.
And I think that, we all are experiencing the same thing. We are questioning ourselves. We are asking ourselves, so many questions, and we are doubting ourselves all the time. We are the people who we should, uplift ourselves. And if we don't do it, who is gonna do it? If no one likes my post, that's totally fine. That's just something that I wanted to share with the world. That's something that I felt that if I could add value, as you said, Stephen, if I could add value to one person, that's enough for me. That would make my day, because um, we have a lot of things that, you know, we need to be worried about, and, you know, we need to add value, and we need to make things better. And it should start with one. It would start with one. It goes then to two people, then it goes, you know, to more, and it will expand eventually. It's not going to be an overnight success. We're not talking about that. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of hard work to make sure that, you know, you overcome your fear. But don't be the person who would stop yourself to not do it. You would be your own fear. That is something that I realized in myself, that I was my own fear. I was looking at problems, or I was trying to find excuses to not to do something. And yeah, to be honest, you know, when I started the knowledge series, I was so scared. I was so scared, you know, to talk to, you know, one of the, you know, like to have a session where I have Peter on my call.
Yeah.
I was so scared when I had Bob on my call. They are so good, and they're so they're industry gurus, and I'm like so scared of, you know, being with them. But then they are so good people, and they have tons of experience that I learned so much through this journey with them. So don't be scared. That's what I wanted to tell you guys. If you just overcome your fear, you would be able, you know, to do more than you would realize.
And you know, what I see now is too is that I'm still scared of posting things. People think like, oh, you don't have any fear. I play on the edges too, guys. I post about everything. You guys see what I post. I make comments that maybe not 100% in line with the way LinkedIn is. I post about my family. I really don't care what people think. LinkedIn's it's not Facebook. You shouldn't do this. Everyone's always making these rules for other people, and I agree with them. If you don't feel comfortable posting about your family on LinkedIn, then don't post about it. But that doesn't mean you should tell me not to post about my family, because I've communicated with 90% of the people on my LinkedIn. They're my friends. They're my connections. This is not a situation where I'm dealing with strangers. So what I want you guys to realize is there's going to be that fear. And if you ask somebody that hasn't done it before, they're probably going to tell you no. And I always joke around with every one of our conversations me and Susan have, because I just keep on saying yes. She asked me, she's like, oh, thank you so much for helping me. I really didn't help her or anything. I just keep saying yes. She says, I want to do training. I say yes. I want to do this. I say yes. I want to do a study group. Yes. And if you're a person where people are coming up and asking you things, and just because you haven't done it yet, it's important to say yes to people. Let them try. Who cares if they fail? They'll learn quickly. And if you don't know, because obviously compliance is, sort of a dull area. Talking about compliance is kind of boring. It's a little bit dry. Draw inspiration from other professionals in other industries. If you guys see a lot of the things I do, I take it from other LinkedIn professionals, maybe influencers, entrepreneurs. I take some of their ideas and then I craft it my own way. And then I put it into compliance field. And just a little secret for you guys, the people at the top that you see are posting are also scared. They're also scared because they're in a position of authority, and they're in a position of thought leadership. So when they post, they have to really check their facts, because they could be scared that they're wrong. They could be scared that somebody's taking their advice and using it as compliance advice. So it's important to really go in there and try your best. Sorry, I hear a lot of feedback.
No.
Guys, could you please make sure that you're on mute? I'm not able to see who is. Okay, guys. I think we're good. Stephen, you're on mute yourself. Stephen, I guess you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess when you muted everyone, that included me.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No worries.
I was able to find out who was talking. So.
Yeah. So, and to Susan, to your last point, I think when we're talking about being scared to do things, I think some of the best posts that people have made have come from those topics that they were scared to post. Jennifer Ford Smith posted about the CRA and how it was difficult for her husband to claim certain benefits for the kids, and like that post went viral, had over 100,000 views, because it wasn't something she always posted. It had nothing to do with compliance. It touched on, it resonated with people from a personal level. So sometimes when you post your personal stuff, although it's a little scary, those are the ones that get the most reception, because people were dying to say the same thing, but they were actually scared to actually post it. So when they see somebody else post it, they can't wait to jump in there and tag and comment, because they're like, finally, someone's talking about the things I wanted to talk about. But before we move on, I guess, Susan, back to you, and we'll do a quick poll.
Sure, awesome. Do you want to go to the slide? Okay, cool. So tell us, which one of these is your fear?
Answer honestly, people. We're all a little scared of something.
Yeah, and these polls are just anonymous. Can you guys see it on your screen?
I see it.
Okay.
You are showing us poll results.
Oh, it's showing the results. I don't know if you can reshare it, redo
Okay,
it.
let's see. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, let's give you guys 20 seconds to collate all your answers. Okay. Okay, let's see the result. So the most one, I'm scared I will fail or be rejected. Yeah, see guys, it's all what you think. It's the fear inside of each one of us that, you know, it's the first stop on the block to make things, you know, not reach to what we really want. It's just the fear that you have inside of you. But have you ever tested and you failed? Have you tested and being rejected? Have you tested and, you know, everything goes down? And if so, that's a lesson. You're learning something out of it. And the next time that you want to do it, it would be totally different. So this is my take on this. Stephen, what do you feel?
I find it super interesting because, like, what's failing? If I posted something and 2 people view it or nobody views it, what's the failure in that? I'm learning how to write. I'm getting better at my craft. The more, obviously, like, it's like the bike thing. The more you do anything, the more you get better at it. So it's not failing. Like, what's the rejection? It's funny because you're saying fail and reject because you're usually comparing yourself to somebody else. Oh, that person did a webinar, they got 100 people. I did a webinar, but I only got 5 people. I failed. But no, you did a webinar, and that's better than you not doing anything, and now you got 5 people. I look at everything I do as it's me against myself, and I do the 1 is greater than 0. If you guys look at it like, be selfish. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this to get better. I'm doing this to learn. I'm doing this to practice. Don't think of it as like, I'm doing this to become LinkedIn famous. I'm doing this to get a job. And I think we're going to go a little bit further down in the presentation. We're going to talk a little bit about mindset. But this is where I will tell you guys to be selfish. Do things for you, because if you're doing things for other people, or you're doing things comparing yourself to other people, you're never going to succeed, because there's always going to be someone doing a little something better. And I get anxiety. Like, man, why didn't you think of that? Like, why weren't you being creative? And I'll be honest about that. And I was honest to Susan about that. But I was like, you know, that wasn't my speed at the time. She got out there, she organized everything, she's better at that. And one little thing, guys, before we move on, is in this industry, the tables turn really, really quickly. So just because I helped Susan when she first got here, now Susan's helping me by setting up this webinar. Things, you know, and you shouldn't look at it technically like that, but it's always good just to help people, because you just never know when you're going to need that help. And that kind of, what I call, it's like it's an emotional or a value bank account. Like, I'll help Jabril every day of the week. He could ask me anything and I'll help him, because he was there when I needed him the most, and he was there and he was not being selfish at all. He was willing to give me information. He was willing to help me. He follows up with me. And I'm using Jabril because he was on the call and I saw him, but there's a ton of people like that. Glenna Smith, like, in the blockchain community too. When I was first starting out in the blockchain community, I was messaging people, trying to understand the community. And then you go work for a company like Bitfinex, which is one of the biggest companies when it comes to cryptocurrency. And then obviously now people now may need help with getting their coin listed, which I can't help them with, but they may need help now to trying to get a job. So it's so important. Everyone's always looking at, oh, I need help from Peter, I need help from Susan. Look around. There's a ton of people that you can help out and draw inspiration from. And you just never know where they're going to be in a couple months or 3 months or 3 years where they're going to be able to lend you that hand. Don't just look at the top performers and say that you need help from them. Look at the community. There's 200 people here learning just like you. There's a ton of potential in this chat right now where you can just find people, help them. You guys can work together. So I'll go on to the next topic, and this will be the LinkedIn pyramid. And just to give you guys an idea of, I told Susan, I gave her a handout that will just give you all the tips of how to update your LinkedIn profile. And guys, I'm telling you, if I see one more LinkedIn profile that's not professional, I'm gonna scream. You would never go to a job interview in sweatpants. The fact that you have a LinkedIn profile and there's not a professional picture and the cost of a professional picture is so cheap, you're really doing yourself a disservice. You might not think it, but a recruiter, before they're doing anything, is looking at your LinkedIn profile. They're looking at that picture. And if you're wondering why you're not getting, and even when you reach out to professionals, I'm looking at that picture as well because I want to see how seriously is this person taking their career if they're asking me for career advice. If they haven't done the little things like update their LinkedIn profile with a nice picture or profile picture, then I know that they're not even at the step where they need my help. So I have all the tips and tricks in that little handout. What I'm going to teach you right now is like my thoughts on how LinkedIn and how you can be successful on LinkedIn. There's a ton of other websites. There's a ton of other social media platforms, but obviously from a business side, LinkedIn is going to be your best. And then we're going to start at the bottom, number 5. Like some of you just log in, not very frequent. You really no activity, just kind of looking around, maybe seeing what jobs there are. I think that's at the lower level of LinkedIn. You're not going to see much results there, but you're going to get an idea of what's going on in the industry. When you go to number 4, some of you are adding reactions to posts, a little bit of like here. You're sharing articles, but you're not really adding any commentary. You're just writing share, maybe a couple hashtags, or you're putting that one phrase comment. Congratulations, Susan, on a great webinar. Things like that, which is great, but you can see if you just do that, you're not really adding much value. And when you think of it, look at a post like Susan or Peter Warwick makes, they have like maybe 100, 150 likes. They're not going back through those likes and seeing who likes them, but they might have only 8 comments. So really think about that kind of next level. That number 3 is adding in commentary. And I don't just mean a simple yes phrase. I mean, really adding in a conversation piece, getting other people into the discussion. Let's think of why are people posting on LinkedIn anyway? It's because they're trying to get through some thought leadership. They're trying to promote some of the ideas that they have. They want engagement. Like when you post, you want people to like and share and comment. So think about what makes you happy on LinkedIn, and then you try to do the exact same thing. So engage. If someone shares an article, an industry professional that you're looking to get a hold of, and you DM them 3 times and you can't get a hold of them, but they write an article on Medium, jump into Medium, leave some comments, post it on LinkedIn, ask questions. The first year of my career when it came to cryptocurrency and AML, all I was doing was going into people's articles and asking questions. I had no idea what the answers were. I thought about it. I did some research and I asked thoughtful questions. And guys, when you're posting, take your time. I know, like I know Susan knows this, and I know a lot of you other that are making posts. It takes a lot of time to craft a well thought out post and to add in your real personal views. Just doing a little one-liner and posting something is great, but nobody's really going to engage with that because you haven't taken the time to kind of engage with your thoughts. So really take that time. You guys will see, and a lot of my posts, they're all the way 1,300 characters are being used. I want to use every bit of that space to get out all my ideas, to share links, to tag people that might be interested. The time that you take to do these things, it will be a direct correlation into the kind of value that you're getting back. And then you get into the number two level. You're actually creating content. A lot of people create this content to get leads. So they'll do a nice article, then they'll say like, ask me for consultation at the end of the article or book my free consultation. It's great because they are providing value, But when you get to the end, you feel kind of like, it feels like a used car salesman kind of, because you feel like, oh, they just did this to get me to buy their ebook or to take their course. So that's still better than just engaging. You're actually creating stuff. And then you get to that number one level, where I believe is what Susan did and what so many others is, where you're actually creating opportunities for others. Susan has built this platform, and she's actually getting people, the speakers, she's actually getting people to engage in conversations. When I did the workshop, I remember getting out of the workshop and I saw it was all the women at the workshop were adding each other to a WhatsApp group. Like, I didn't tell them to add each other to a WhatsApp group. It just evolved naturally and it created value for them. So building a community, adding actual value. So when you add value like that, you can't be selfish. If Susan wanted to be selfish, it would never work. You've seen people that have tried to do exactly what Susan has done, come up with webinars, huge companies that have hundreds of thousands of dollars to put in these things. And why don't they have the same amount of engagement? Because their primary goal is to try and get leads, whereas Susan's trying to facilitate and provide value to the conversation. That's why she's so successful. That's why you see it's very tough to do, but it's also very tough for others to compete with it because she executes on a high level. So that's my thoughts about LinkedIn. You guys can always message me after you get the handbook if you really have any things. But guys, I personally haven't updated my LinkedIn profile, but my activity is enough that it can sustain me with the amount of things that I do. But you guys should have a really robust profile. The handout I give you is super, super detailed, so I'll help you guys out. And okay, Susan, you want to add anything there?
No, I really loved what you said, and thank you so much for all your kind words. I really, purely and honestly, the only thing that I all the time think about is that how I could add value, or how TCAE could add value to you guys. I remember at the beginning when I was like talking to, getting the events, I was talking to so many organizers and trying to ask them for discounts for the members of TCAE. And maybe out of the 10 that I approached them, maybe only one of them, they said that, okay, yeah, we will do. But that one, it meant a lot for me, to make that difference, to kind of think that, okay, this would be making a difference, for someone who could attend that session. So there is tons of work that, I really like to do for the community. And there are a lot of opportunities around, and a lot of ideas that I like to work on and help you guys, to move on. So so yeah, this is a huge community, and get on board. I'm sure that each and every one of you have got your own ideas. You could do more, and you can add more value to the community. So yeah, I think that's just, finding that one idea, and, believe that, you can do, and then, just execute and just do it, no matter what, just do it. If it fails, you do something else. You try to come up with something else, or you try to customize it in a different way, keep it in a different direction. So just do it, as what Stephen told me, just do it. And that is the hardest and the most scariest part of the work, just doing it.
I don't want Nike to come after me and sue me. That "just do it" wasn't exactly my term. I kind of stole it from them, so I don't want them to come after me. What isn't pictured here in the pyramid, guys, and what's like, you see all those memes with the iceberg, what isn't pictured here in the pyramid, because it's not even at the level, is sending anyone your resume that hasn't been solicited. First of all, nobody cares about your resume. I'll tell you that right now. The recruiters are barely looking at your resume. Nobody cares. I don't even know how much work experience Susan has, but I'd probably hire her more than anyone else I know, because I know she can execute on a high level. So sending somebody in a message your qualification, nobody cares that you have 6 years of AML and KYC experience. This is my opinion, by the way. Nobody's going to look at your resume. Nobody's going to forward your resume to anyone. No one's going to get you a job based on your resume. No one's going to give you a job based on you asking them for a job. So let's be sensible let's have etiquette. Would you ever stand outside of BMO with a sign that says, please give me a job? How many people do you think would say, oh, sure, come inside. Let me set you up on the computer system right now? Would never happen. So don't do things on LinkedIn or any other platform that you wouldn't do in person. Similar to a webinar, or, would you just stand outside and say, hey guys, come in, I have a webinar inside, come inside. You don't know me? That's okay. Come inside, pay $50, pay $100. Stop soliciting the stuff that you're doing without being asked for it, right? And if, I try to do this to everyone, I try to explain to them why this is a bad idea, but guys, remember, this industry is very small. Just because you think you're going from individual to individual, giving your resumes unsolicited, asking for jobs, all those people in that circle talk. And you're basically ostracizing yourself. You're alienating yourself where nobody's going to want to deal with you because they see that you're not resourceful. We'll get to that later in the pyramid. Susan, I think we have another polling question. Sorry, sorry to catch you off.
Oh, no. Coming right up. So, which content do you like to see more on LinkedIn? So tell us, what do you like to see? Is it a job opportunity? Is it a personal development tips? Is it a knowledge sharing? Is it an enforcement action? What do you like to see? Or what are the posts that you get attracted when you're seeing them on LinkedIn? Okay, I'm still receiving some of your votes. Okay, let's share the result. Knowledge sharing. See, you guys know what exactly you want to see, and how many of you are you sharing your knowledge? This is a question. How many of you take the time to share what you know and share it to the others? And make sure that, there would be someone else who could benefit from that. That's good. Yeah, I see Joseph saying I try. Yeah, absolutely. You're one of the people who, whenever you share your post, is always valuable. It's either a job opportunity, or if it's enforcement action, or if it's a regulatory update, it's always valuable, and you always share your knowledge, and that's really inspiring. And we need to have more of these Josephs, on LinkedIn. So yeah, I think that's the message that we want to give you.
And for a person like Joseph Ayuso, I reached out to him. One of those people I reached out to early on in my career before I even started. The guy spent an hour and a half, busy entrepreneur, running multiple businesses, executive director of the CMSBA. Not at that time, but he's just doing a ton of things. And to spend an hour and a half with me and helping me in my career, he continues to put me in opportunities to speak on stage. These are the thought leaders. You're not going to see all that on LinkedIn. He's not going to promote that on his LinkedIn. So just because someone's not doing things on LinkedIn, don't be naive to see how much they're doing in the background to support professionals in this industry. So I always tell people, like, yes, you want to go after people that are active on LinkedIn, but you also want to go after people that are just active in general, reaching out to them and seeing, especially when they come, have an entrepreneurial spirit. I know Susan does too. Joseph is an OG entrepreneur, especially when it comes to cryptocurrency. These are the people that are so valuable to the ecosystem. And he's definitely been one of my mentors. He continues to mentor me. So shout out to Joseph on the call.
Yeah.
This next slide, sorry to cut you off. This next slide, guy, I'm going to put the disclaimer, guys. These are just to provoke thoughts. These are things you can do with TCAE. These are just to provoke thoughts. We all know, everyone's going to get excited and then email Susan. Let's be generous in regards to Susan's time. These are for you to draw on. And to show you how I think outside the box. So when I came up with this slide, it took me 5 minutes. Some of the things I would do. So what 99% of you are doing is you share your certificate, which is great because you're proud of what you've done and you're promoting the TCAE. But I think, okay, if everyone's doing that, my the way I approach thinking outside the box is to take everything everyone else is doing and do the exact opposite. So some of the things I would think about when I think outside the box is a FAQ, so frequently asked questions. Usually in a more technical setting, like a more subject matter expertise, like Peter Wart came on, there was a ton of questions, maybe 15, 20 questions. Susan, I don't even think got through all of them. She could actually export the chat, I believe, on Zoom, or you could actually see the chat, copy down those questions. You could then go back to the recording. You could take the answers that Peter is giving and then put them in a FAQ, put them in a link, and then Susan can actually use that FAQ to attach to each session. And then you can take that same information, the question and answers, you can do individual posts. Here was the question that was asked. Here's what I think. Here's how he answered. Here's what I want to add. Guys, there's so many ways to add that value that take a very little bit of time. You can actually just see in the participants list, record the participants list on your phone with a video, and then send that list to like someone on Fiverr for $35. They'll give you a list of all the people's names in a spreadsheet, and then you can go through that list and connect with people, see if they want to add you on LinkedIn. There's a ton of ways, guys, that you can approach things, but you have to get into that mindset of how am I going to think about it. So my after webinar session, I'm a big reality. I know maybe not a lot of people are. I'm a big reality TV person. So when I watch shows like Housewives and they do the tell all, I just picture, these sessions are usually an hour. They always overflow. There's still a little bit of time. What if you created your own session after these sessions with people that still want to learn? Some of the people that get off the call are still wanting to sit there and get more information. As a suggestion, you get Bob Kapoor. He's always in the chat to say, Bob, hey, come on, let's unpack some of the things that they talked about in this session. And then whoever else wants to stay on from the knowledge series, they come to your session, they stay on. You bring Susan on, she adds in her insights, because Susan does a great job of being a host and let everyone show their subject matter expertise. But Susan has a ton to add to the conversation, but she kindly holds back to allow the person to think. So that's another way, I think. Finding sponsors, like, it takes no time to reach out and say, hey, people, like, hey, ACAM, Susan's doing a TCAE ACAM study group. You should look out for this, or promoting her or nominating her for ACAM's Professional of the Year, which I'm going to be doing. And you can start your own crusade and message everyone that's attended her events. These are small things, guys. It takes almost zero effort that have a huge impact. On the other side, even just taking photos, after every session, the person that's been to every session, imagine after every session, if you just took your phone out and did a video testimonial of your experiences, you sent that off to somebody on Fiverr or Fiverr, and you got them to do a video reel for the TCAE of your experiences on the TCAE that Susan can use as her testimonial for the TCAE website. These are small things, guys. It doesn't take a lot of effort, but these are small things with maybe $100. You could turn into a cool video reel. A lot of the stuff you guys are seeing from me posting the videos, none of that I do on my own. It's cheaper for me to pay somebody $85 to get it done and make it look professional. Me and Susan talked about this, the job board. There's tons of jobs out there. You never know which ones are good. You never know if they're entry level. Just going through all the jobs and categorizing them and helping Susan maybe start up her own TCAE job board where people can go in and maybe look at these jobs and say, is this entry level? Is this better suited for foreign professionals? You can even reach out to the recruiter, asking them exactly what they're looking for, some key points. You can collate some of the people that are in the actual chat and say, hey, you look like you have experience for this. You can actually play matchmaker. It's a ton of work to do, but man, the results will be amazing because then recruiters will just be coming to you. The only thing better than getting yourself a job is having the ability to get other people jobs. When I met Claudius, and we all know Claudius from NMMP, the first thing he said when I met him at an event is, I have 5 people that are foreign professionals that they're having such a tough time getting jobs. Can you help them find jobs? Claudius never told me about the newsletter he did when he was at Grant Thornton. Claudius never told me about the amazing experience or the fact that he wanted to be a speaker. The first thing he tried to do is help others get a job. And people like Claudius will always be a person that I would look to find work, because if he's so willing to help other people, imagine how well he's going to do in his own job. So guys, these are just here to provoke your thoughts, because I know you guys have ideas. I know you do. I see the messages in my inbox. You guys have ideas. You're too scared to try them out. So take your time, write down these ideas, share these ideas with me. We can have an idea board and we'll just put it on Google Docs of all these ideas. And what you're scared of is like, oh, I don't want to share my ideas because somebody else will take it. As I said before, TCAE was an event group. Tons of people had the idea of starting an event group. I told Susan, don't worry. You know, the execution is going to be the difference. So don't be scared. I post all my ideas. I posted a list of all my ideas. Everyone's like, oh no, you should keep those to yourself. I'm like, if somebody else can go do it, go right ahead. You know, they're not going to do it like me, and I don't want them to. Copying other people's is great. Maybe taking some of their examples is great, but you can't copy TCAE and do your own knowledge series. It just won't look the same. It won't feel the same because you're not using your own ideas. You're replicating somebody else, what somebody else did, and it's best to use your own ideas. And Susan, I'll quickly go on because I know I have about maybe 5 minutes to talk. Do you want to add anything to that?
I just wanted to give a bit of shout out to my people, to the team, to my volunteers who have been, you know, throughout this journey, you know, with me. And you know, they have I remember, you know, Kayla, when she messaged me and she said, you know, I wanted to, you know, help you out, you know, and I wanted to volunteer, and and if there is anything that I could help you with. And she gave me a list of things that, you know, she can do and help me out. And that was the point that, you know, she got my attention. Another one, Naz, she has been so proactive. She has been, you know, helping me out with the CAMS study group. And you know, these guys, you know, they are so on top of things and helping me out. I need like a army, to be honest, you know, to help you guys out. So they volunteered themselves, they gave their time and effort, and they were supporting me throughout. And at the same time, the other guys, Mohit recently as well joined the team, and you know, helping out with the events and posting them, you know, on the website. And he has, you know, looking for all the events. And just one thing that he mentioned, he said, I want to get things out of your plate because I know that, you know, you have tons of work to do. And that meant a lot to me. Because people are acknowledging that, you know, there is a lot of things, you know, behind the scene that are happening. And then coming to me and telling me that, you know, this is the way that I want to help you out. That is the key important thing. Jabril and Giles as well, they helped me out, you know, with the mentoring session, with the CAMs. And you know, they when the idea came, you know, they just, you know, jumped right in, and they are taking the control over the sessions, and you know, and helping others. So that's what I wanted to, the message that I wanted to give is that there are a lot of people on this call. They messaged me and they said that, you know, they wanted to be volunteers and help out. I'm really open to that opportunity. We love your support, and I really appreciate that. Come to me, tell me what you can do that could help me out. There are tons of things. There's tons of projects that, you know, I want to work on, and I don't really have the capacity. I'm sure that Stephen has the same thing and is in the same boat. We are both, you know, wanted to do more, but we are bound. We have the full-time job, as well as, you know, this is our passion and this is what we want to give back to you guys. So we need your support. And I really appreciate, you know, the people who they have been, you know, supporting me as volunteers, and as well as sponsors, who they are interested, you know, to do more for the community. So yeah, that was just my 2 cents that I wanted to share.
That's amazing. And just advice for you guys when you go, you know, and I think Susan touched on it. Like, don't just go to Susan and say, Susan, I want to help. Let me know what I can do. And that's the wrong approach, guys. You guys are, if you're focusing on what Susan's doing, you should already, if you're going to add value, you should already know what Susan needs help with. People like Kayla, Mohit, Naz, I see those people helping out everyone, but they're not just sitting there like, I can help. What should I do? They're going in there. They're figuring out what they can do. They're putting their hand up. Hey, I can do this for you. Hey, let me see. And then send Susan something. Hey, this is what I did. Is this something that you guys use? the days of volunteering are over. Nobody needs to volunteers. Like I know even Joseph knows the volunteers, if you have to figure out what the volunteers are going to do to help you, as a volunteer, you've already failed at what you're trying to accomplish. And for volunteers, you know, what's really interesting when I say don't be selfish, guys, if you're really trying to help people, I want to see like all those events that you were offering to help for and volunteer that because there's COVID and not in person. Have you reached out to those organizers? Have you asked them, hey, is there anything I can still do to help even though I know you're not doing in person? You know, that shows that you're actually doing it to help them, not just benefit yourself and get into a conference for free. You know, take the time and think about how you would feel if people just want to reach out to volunteer when it's beneficial for them because they want to get associated now with the TCAE or something that's the trend that's going on right now. When you help volunteer, guys, I know it's almost 11 o'clock. I know I have a ton more slides. I'm going long. As long as Susan keeps the Zoom chat open, I'm going long. My wife doesn't come down here and kill me because we have 2 kids upstairs tearing down the house. Then you can stay on. Otherwise, there's a recording. But I'm getting into the juicy stuff now. So these are the skills I believe that you need to elevate your career. So these are the things I'm seeing around me and seeing what people are doing that's better than I'm doing. But as you can see, communication is key. If you're not able to express your thoughts, if you're not able to get enthusiastic and passionate about what you're doing, you know, I know Susan can attest to this, like the sheer passion, like me just talking the way I do and using my hands is not because I'm doing it to be a great speaker. It's because I told Susan, like, you might have to just even mute me sometimes because I'm going to go off here. I'm going to go off. But guys, if you're not passionate and excited about what you're doing, why would anyone else be excited about what you're doing? So passion has gotten me into more opportunities than anything else. As I said, nobody cares how many years experience. The joke is many of you have more AML experience than me by a long shot. But I'm passionate to learn about it, and I bring what I bring to the table, especially in cryptocurrency. You're dealing, especially in cryptocurrency, the communication, especially if you're dealing with law enforcement or senior managers. And I don't know if there's any lawyers on the call, but we all know what it's like talking to a lawyer. They want facts. They want concise facts. They don't want assumptions. So you have to get really great at communicating with others, especially if you're a foreign professional and maybe English isn't your second language. I don't even know what it would be like to learn a second language. So Toastmasters, there's a ton of other speaking groups to help people communicate, or create your own. Grab 10 people on this call that also need help communicating, and then you just hire somebody, spend 15, 20 bucks each. You have 400 bucks. Hire somebody to come in and teach you speech or teach you how to be a creative speaker. There's tons of things, but you guys have to start thinking outside the box. The next one is Microsoft Excel. I know I am terrible at Excel, but I realize that people, especially in our industry, especially in AML, when you're taking a ton of data, the people that can do pivot tables, the people that can learn how to use Excel at an intermediate or an advanced level, they get better jobs, to be quite honest. They're more useful because your boss doesn't have time to learn Excel. So they want to go to the person that knows how to do things. They can take a bunch of information. Excel is probably the cheapest skill that you can learn. LinkedIn Learning, Udemy, there's a company here in Toronto, BrainStation. There's a ton of places that can teach you how to use Excel. I guarantee if you master Excel, the amount of job opportunities will be exponentially more than you would think. And speaking of Excel, like organization, your boss is busy. Your boss doesn't have time to organize your team or organize a lot of the things. So being able to take information or helping your boss out, and this is where I say about don't being selfish. Most people complain, oh, my boss is too busy for this. My boss is too busy for that. Think about why your boss is busy. And what people have done to Susan, how can you take things off of their plate? So if you see your boss is busy, then think like, why are they busy? What's some of the tedious things that they're doing that I could help out with or I could learn how to do? Obviously, like it works for Susan when it comes to volunteering. It works for everyone. And obviously when we get to execution and positive mindset, guys, like this is not stuff I have to teach you guys about. What I noticed in the workshop that we had is people like Susan and the people that were in the workshop is that they weren't lacking anything else in their job search other than confidence. You know, I see people post online, like on LinkedIn, like they're looking for an entry-level position in AML. Guys, if you put that, what do you think you're going to get? You're going to get an entry-level position in AML. When I started at HSBC, I started as a level 3 investigator. Do you know why I started at level 3 investigator? Because I had no idea that there was levels to being an investigator. I just applied to the job. So I wasn't focused on, I have to start on level 1 and work my way up to level 3. I just saw a job, didn't even know what the levels meant. So when you start focusing on what you have to do, you can start anywhere you want to do. But if you want, especially those foreign professionals where you guys are like, oh, I have to take any job when I come to this country. No, you don't. You don't have to take any job, but you better understand that it might take you longer to get the job that you want, and you have to be comfortable with it. But when you start thinking your mindset, and I'm sure all your friends that got here before you are saying, you have to start at this level, you have to start at that level. No, they had to start at that level. They had to start at the entry level position. That doesn't mean you do. And the more you think that you do is probably why you're getting a lot of those entry level positions. You just think about it clearly. In the position I'm in right now, is like, people are like, oh, I'm worth more, or I should be doing this. Well, then why are you in the position that you are? Why are you accepting the pay that you are? You're accepting because that's what you believe your self-worth is. You're accepting your paycheck now because that's what you believe your self-worth is. If you feel that you deserve more, then quit your job and go find a job where you're getting paid more, or keep your job and add value and go get some more somewhere else. But the fact that you're accepting that paycheck is kind of the reason why you're getting paid that. You know, if somebody offered you $10,000 a year to do AML, you would never accept it because you feel that you're worth more. So that's just something to think about, guys. And then being able to network effectively, all my experience, all my knowledge, all the opportunities that have come my way has just been from other people like Jabril, people like Joseph. They've been helping me out. I don't have to know everything. I just have to know who to go to that does know that information. So when I say network effectively, that means building meaningful relationships. The majority of you, if you've ever messaged me on LinkedIn without a note, you'll see how long it takes me to reply. And I'm sure Susan's the same way, and the majority of everyone. But you'll notice that I'll send you a message right away that says, hey, thanks for jumping into my professional network. The reason I do that is because I want to see what you're looking to do and why you're looking to connect with me. The people that don't respond, I assume that they're just doing that because they want to up their connection count on LinkedIn. I have no idea. I haven't figured that out. The people that respond with, can I have a job? Here's my resume. I automatically know what they're looking to do. I'm not going to spend too much time. The person that's thoughtful and says, hey, I actually listened to your podcast a couple years ago. I have a question about this. That person has my full attention. That person 100% has my full attention, and I usually help those people more. The person that's like, you know, I've done this, like Susan, I've done this, but I'm still struggling. What's wrong? Those are the people I'm going to help because they've actually taken a path. The people that says, what should I do in AML? Like, I don't know what you should do. I don't know what job you should get. I don't know where you should be in AML. Like, you guys have to do some of the thinking first. And then it's going to get to our last points. But Susan, do you have anything to add here? Because I know this is a hot button topic for a lot of people. And I think just these simple things can absolutely increase your pay by, if you follow these certain steps, you'll at least increase your pay by 10 to 15%, but you'll just be a lot more happier in your job, to be quite honest. Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely, Stephen. I think that, you know, all the things that you said, the positive mindset, I think one of the key aspect of it is having the positive mindset. You know, when I receive messages from people, they're so down. They are so sometimes, you know, it's full of negativity that, you know, I lost my job, I cannot find any work, can you help me out? Guys, I know, I understand, I want to sympathize with you, but that wouldn't be the first message that you want to give to someone. This wouldn't be the first impression that you want to give to someone. I think, and if you are gonna start, you know, thinking like that, and, you know, spreading messages like that, you will not achieve anything. Just always send your messages with positivity. I remember when I started to you know, reach out to the community and introduce myself to everyone, I never asked for a job. I never ever asked for that. I'm looking for a job. Can you give me a job? Do you have a suitable position in your company? Can you you know, like this is my CV is attached, and please do the needful. And this is really not the way to do the things. I always, the one of the things that it really helped me is that I asked them that I'm here, I'm trying to learn. and I'm looking for guidance, and I would appreciate, you know, your time, you know, to give me that guidance, to give me that you know, insight. And everyone, like every single messages that I send out, it came with a positive response. So everyone tries to help each other. This is a human mentality. We like to help. But if you're trying to, you know, get something without giving, this is the problem. You have to give appreciation. You have to give your gratitude to the person. Like, for example, as you know, Stephen mentioned, you know, if he's posting something on LinkedIn and you like it, send him a message privately and say that, you know, I really liked your post and I really benefited from this on my career. And, you know, I really implemented this and I really like to, you know, get more insight on this matter with you. I'm sure that Stephen will respond to you like immediately out of the 100 messages that, you know, he's gonna get. um, because that is the thing, you know, like people would like to, you have to first be grateful for, you know, show them that, you know, you're grateful for what they're offering to you, and then, you know, ask for their support. And that has been something that I've done, and it was really, really beneficial in my career and in my, you know, way of doing things. um, Always don't go and ask for the job. Don't update your LinkedIn profile and saying that I'm looking for a job. No, tell what you're passionate about. This shouldn't be your title. If you, as you know, Stephen said, if you are putting a statement as a title, as a header for your LinkedIn that you're looking for a job, you will always be looking for a job. If you are saying that, you know, I'm looking for, you know, as Stephen said, you're looking for a level one entry for the investigator role, you will always will feel that way. Tell what is your passion. Tell what can you help people, what admires you, what, you know, inspires you, what enthusiasts you. That is powerful. That gives you a better impression to others, to recruiters, to employers, even to yourself, because that is the place where we have to start within ourselves, and then, you know, get everything back on roll.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Sorry, I just like, I love the comments. I love jumping into the comments. I could probably do that all day. I gotta come to more sessions and just flood the comments. Yeah, guys, honestly, like when it comes, like, I just think of like, what would you appreciate if you're going into people, if you're making a connection on LinkedIn and you haven't taken 5 minutes to go through their profile and go look at what their about is. Like, I know there's a about page, what is it, whatever is that heading thing where they're talking about things. Guys, that they can tell that. You know, like if you're going to connect with somebody and they have a weird, or not even a weird, but a rare certificate, I think I can get in touch with anyone that's taken a Harvard course. Guys, if you spend $10,000 on a Harvard course, you're dying to talk about it. So when I message them, I say, hey, like, did you find that Harvard course beneficial? 100% of the times, though, I'll get a response from those people. So because I took the time to realize that they've done things other than AML, other than compliance. I took the time to see that, oh, just because they're working at an organization where I want a job, that's not the way to approach people. And people always say, like, there's a job I want to go for. And I just connected with somebody from that organization. Should I ask them about the job? Definitely not. Do not even talk to them about the job. Here's the secret, guys. That job will come up there again. There's going to be tons more jobs. Take the time to build that connection. Don't do exactly, if your instincts say ask them for a job, do the exact opposite. And I know you feel like you're so close. You have a conversation going with them and you want to ask for a job. Do not do so. Do not ask anyone for a job. I get more, and I'm sure Susan gets more job opportunities now that she's creating content and creating a platform. When I was looking for a job, I barely got opportunities. I barely got interviews. And that's what I'm telling you guys. Stop spending all that time applying to positions. Go meet some people in the community. Go talk to them. Like I don't learn from like conferences as much. I learn from like talking to Joseph for an hour and hearing where he used to live and realizing that, oh, we lived like 5 minutes apart at one point. I learned from like speaking with people like Claudius. It was people like Claudius and Sandy that are like, let's start something. We see foreign professionals are struggling in Canada. We see them struggling. They come to this country, they have no connections. Let's create something. Let's create an association. Let's create an event where all these professionals could come together, and we'll go find the mentors. We'll go find the Peter Warks and the Amber Scotts to come to this event. People that they would be too scared or shy to continue a conversation with. We'll find them. We'll put them all in the same room so they feel comfortable together. You know, you're not going to get a return on it. That's not going to get you a job, but look how meaningful those things happen. Look how much comes from that, where now people find that there's a safe area for them to learn, for them to meet other people, and now meet other people from their community, maybe back where they came from or the country that they came from. Okay, guys, I know that time. So these are the things that you know to do, but that you're absolutely not doing. So number one, stop being selfish. I think we've covered it in all of this. We've covered stop being selfish. When I approach people, if you guys want the best jobs, if you guys want the most opportunities, if you guys want to get to be a paid speaker, come close and listen up. When I approach people, I think about what I can do for them. That's it. I see everything, every situation. I see people like Joseph and people like Clyde. So I'm like, how can I help them? How can I amplify what they're talking about? How can I jump into their posts, in their conversation, and comment and add some and engage other people into their posts? That's all I think about, is how I can add value. That comes with a lot of work. You guys are going to see very little return in this approach. And me and Susan had that conversation, and you know, I don't think she talked about it here, but I think the turning point in Susan really finding her way in Canada was she stopped worrying about finding a job. She just started working about, how can I bring more people together? How can I speak to more people? How can I connect with more people? And then all of a sudden, all these opportunities came her way. And then, you know, it's an old adage when you're in high school, if you know, like, don't worry about, if you want a girlfriend or a boyfriend, don't worry about finding a girlfriend or boyfriend. Just like, improve on yourself, do what you're doing. Guys, connecting with other professionals is the best way to find the best jobs, point blank, period. Don't let anyone else tell you differently. Connecting with professionals. All these jobs that you're seeing posted on LinkedIn, I guarantee there's been a conversation with the person that's hiring, speaking with other professionals to see if they know somebody first. They're not just posting it on LinkedIn and then receiving a flood of 100 resumes. They're going to say, hey, they even start coming to people like me and Susan now, because they're like, you guys have a better idea of who's looking for jobs. Do you guys know anyone in your community that could be looking for jobs? And I know there's opportunities, I think recently, and I'm like, hey, Jabril, does this opportunity sound cool to you? Like, I know you have a job, but I'll throw your name in the hat. Like, who knows? Because, you know, that's just the way it happens, guys. There's so much happening that you don't see. I know you guys get excited when you see the LinkedIn post or on Indeed, but by the time they get to that point, there's an internal process that's already taken place. There's an internal community process that's already taken place before it even gets to that point. So guys, don't worry so much about the jobs on Indeed and applying for the jobs. Make connections with the people in the industry. Mohit, Kayla, Nas, those are all people. I know there's many others, but those are all people I'm like, I had my eye on them too, just by the way they're interacting in the TCA group, just about how much excitement they bring in, just about how helpful they are. Those people are always, and I'm sure they're on the top of Susan's list. If those people need jobs, those are the people you're going to go to first, because they're always consistently helping. And that gets me to my next point about following up. You guys are reaching out, and I'm just being general, and I know I probably pissed a couple people off, and some hard truths have hit you guys right here in your heart, and I'm okay with that. You might not like me now, but I'll tell you right now, if you take some of this advice, you'll see a huge improvement. Follow up. You guys are messaging people, asking them about jobs, and then you don't even follow up with them. You don't even say, hey, like, what's going on? How are you? Or, hey, it's, you know, during COVID, you know, I made a post one day because I spent maybe a minute a day just leaving voice notes for people. COVID's a very tough situation. There's so much going on right now with Black Lives Matters, COVID, protests. Like, it doesn't take you but 1 minute to reach out to someone that you may have connected with before. And even if they haven't been able to get you a job, or someone that you asked to volunteer, but they haven't been able to help you, just message them saying, hey, how's it going? How are you doing through this time? How's the family? How's it like working at home with the kids if you have kids? Guys, Susan is the best at that. If she sees me struggling, and she can tell this because she's actively watching what I'm doing on LinkedIn. If she sees me struggling, and this is the stuff that you guys aren't seeing, is she'll send me a WhatsApp message. Hey, Stephen, I know you're super busy. Let me know if I can do anything to help. Boom. That makes Susan the most valuable person in my community because she's worried about me. She's worried about helping me, not because she needs a job, not because she needs me to do or speak at TCAE, because she's actually worried about me. And if you guys stop being selfish and start following up with people and actively engaging them, and you guys will see, like if you're telling me you're doing your ACAMS exam and 5 months pass by and I go through my messages, I'll message you like, hey, did you pass the exam? And all you'll be like, oh, life came up, couldn't do it. Like, and that's fine. But I'm actually actively following up with you to see what's going on in your life. Guys, the follow-up has gotten me opportunities to speak around the world. Obviously, those got canceled. But opportunities to speak in South Africa, opportunities to speak in Bermuda, just from following up with people and actually being engaged in what's going on in their life, not just about what's beneficial for me, asking people what's going on in their life. And the last thing is to be resourceful. Guys, I can't tell you enough when you're approaching people is do some of the leg work first. Don't just go into people's chats or messages and say, hey, can you help me get into AML? Or, hey, I want to get into AML. Like you have to actively be approaching people and seeing like, hey, I've done this. And I know Alex now is on the line. You might not be here still. I remember speaking to Alex in the class that I was teaching, Alex Cote, smart guy, great communicator. He's like, oh, I'm looking to get in cryptocurrency. And I think in one of my slides, I mentioned the CBP. Alex didn't ask me, where do I find the CBP? How do I set up a Bitcoin? Alex just went, he came back the next class, he already had the CBP. That's what you guys have. You guys have to execute. You have to reach out there and go do something. You don't need to ask me what website do I go? What acronym is that? Go research it, guys. People don't have the time to hold your hand through the whole process. You have to show them that you're doing the process and you need their input on the process that you're doing. That's what makes you stand out from everybody else. Stop asking people you have to do the work. And I know we live in a society where you can just ask one person and get the answer, but no, you have to do some of the legwork. You have to go out there and try for your CBP. And if you fail it, who cares? Come back and say you failed it. You guys should know what are the best courses to take for AML. You shouldn't be asking people those questions. You should be saying, I'm deciding between ACAMS and ACFCS. From your experience, can you tell me the difference? That is a way better question than, hey, I'm looking to do a certificate. Do you know what AML certificates are out there? Like, guys, these are and then Susan's laughing because guys, me and Susan talk. So me and Susan get very similar messages. Me and Susan get upset by those similar messages where we see, and we know, and guys, everything I'm talking about right now, I've done myself. I've reached out to people at the start of my career. Maybe, I don't know if my message said that to Jabril, but hey, let me know if there's any positions that suit my skill set that you can let me know about. Oh, now I want Jabril to look out for jobs for Jabril, who has a job, who's not a recruiter, is going to look out for jobs for me. I've done that, guys, but I also realized that I got zero results from that. Nobody's going to look out for your job. And I was going to call this presentation is start taking ownership. Start taking ownership. You are in charge of your job search. What are you giving it to other people for? You take on, and the reason why you're struggling to find a job is exactly because of that. You're relying on a recruiter. A recruiter's job is to place candidates and employers. That's the recruiter's job. And then everyone's like, oh, the recruiter didn't call me back. Who cares if the recruiter called you back? You go out and find your job. What are you leaving it in the hands of other people for? They're a supplement. Like those of you that go to the gym, you might take BCAAs or protein powder. That's a supplement. But if you don't go to the gym and you don't do your reps and you don't go work out, doesn't matter what drugs or what steroids you take, nothing is going to change. You can't just take steroids and not work out. You're not going to get big. Use recruiters as a supplement. And hey, when's the last time someone went to a recruiter and said, hey, like, what are the trends like in the industry? Is there any way I can help you find other people for these jobs? Never. That's never happened. Nobody thinks like that. That's why you guys are not getting the results that you want to get, because you're thinking like everyone else. You're going to the recruiters and saying, give me a job, give me a job, give me a job. That's all the recruiter's hearing all day. What if you went to the recruiter and say, hey, how can I help you? Hey, I think I could create some posts for you on LinkedIn for those jobs that you're looking for so that you don't have to worry about doing those lame old paragraphs where you don't even know what job is which because they all look the same, because they have no life, they have no emojis to them, they have no passion to them. I can help you with that. Here are some examples that I think I can do to help you. Guys, if you did that right there, who do you think the recruiter's best friend is? Who do you think the recruiter is going to go to when the recruiter has a really good job? He's probably going to go to you. Guys, I know this works because I'm connected with a lot of recruiters, and that's what I did. I stopped asking recruiters for jobs. I started asking recruiters, what are the trends? What are certificates that the employers are looking for? Is there anything I can help you? Can I help? Oh, I have a group of 200 people that come to these TCA webinars. I know 90 of them are looking for jobs. I have a list of them. Here is a presentation. Guys, I could show you a spreadsheet where, and this will be my last comment before I turn it back over to Susan. A spreadsheet of 30 people that were looking for jobs. I am not a recruiter. 30 people were looking for jobs. I found out about a job. I put all their names in the spreadsheet. I linked all their LinkedIn profiles to the spreadsheet. I included the Google Drive to their resumes just because I thought that is the way I present myself. If I'm not just gonna throw a bunch of names in an email and say, hey, these people are looking for jobs. No, I wanna make those people shine. I even put what courses they had that might separate. I said niche expertise, what courses they had that might be better than somebody else. If when they were available, what are some of the special skills that they had if they had Lean Sigma. Guys, this is the way you approach everything. Maybe nobody got the job. And you know what's funny? When I said that to the person, you know who they offered the job to? Like, I don't want to be a spoiler. They offered the job to me because I took the time and did that spreadsheet. I didn't want the job, but that's not the point, guys. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Go that extra mile. If you see my emails, they're probably 5 paragraphs long. I know 90% of people are not going to read that whole email, but that 10% that appreciate what I call the winners is that 10%. The Susans and the Peters and the Bobs might appreciate that extra effort that you're putting in. And that might be just the person that they're looking for. Guys, that's how I'm going to finish off on this conversation. You guys know what I'm talking about too. All of you are like, can I do it quickly or can I do it the best? Spend your time. You guys have time now. It's COVID. Spend the time to really do things that extra mile. People like Kayla and Naz stand out to me because everything they do, it shows how much effort they're putting into. Mohit, I always say, and it's consistency. It's not about just posting something once or helping somebody once. What I find people do, and this will be definitely my last point. What I find people do is they ask a whole bunch of people for help. They get a job and ghost. You won't even see them on LinkedIn again. You won't hear from them again. And then you see them update their profile, and guess what? They're back to asking people for jobs. They're back to connecting. If you have a job, this is the best time for you to connect with people because they know you're not desperate or you're not connecting them for work. You're just reaching out to them to build meaningful relationships, guys. People is the ROI. People over everything. Connections over everything. And that's it. I don't even know. I think I made a scribbly on my slide. That's it, guys.
No worries. I will remove it.
It's okay.
Here you go.
Susan, I don't know if you want to have anything. Like, guys, that felt good to get out. I'm glad there's a recording of that because I stand firmly by it. And if you guys need help, if you got into a point where you tried some of these things, you're like, Susan, I listened to you and Stephen. I tried this, but it's not working at all. That's when you start asking questions to people. Like, that's when Susan came to me. She said, I tried everything, but nothing seems to be working. I go, perfect. You're exactly at the right point. You're exactly at the right point because it's going to get really, really hard. And then look at now. She's hosting the best professionals around the world on the most engaging platform. Like, you guys have to remember, ACAMS has 70,000 members, 70,000. And I see 0 webinars on Saturday where there's 100 to 200 people. That's just something to think about. It's because she cares about the community. She's not trying to make money. She cares about the community. Community and people over everything, guys. Whew. All right.
Man, you are on fire. You made everyone to, be on fire as well. Thank you so much, Stephen. It was so inspirational. And I hope that you guys have the same feeling that I have, the fire that, Stephen brings in every one of us. It's absolutely amazing. It's uncomparable to anything else. He's amazing. He really, really inspired me. And I'm sure that, he will inspire so many of you. Just my couple of, I think, last notes from my side. The key important thing, guys, is to be genuine and be humble in whatever you do. Stephen has been so humble. He helped everyone with no matter what, and he's totally genuine in whatever he does. This is something that we have to consider. This is something that, whenever you're approaching any of the leaders in our industry, be that, be humble, and be open, to to anything, be open to the opportunities that will come across to you. Don't have the fear. Be strong and confident, because you know something that someone else doesn't know, and that is important. Don't underestimate what you know. Don't underestimate your knowledge. I'm seeing the messages, some of the messages you guys are saying that, for example, English is my like, I'm scared of talking, um, because my English is not my first language. It's not mine either. I do a tons of grammatical mistakes, and my English is not good at all. But I'm learning. Everyone is learning. Every day is a learning journey for every single one of us. Um, this is the way that you have to see the world, and this is how we are trying to, coexist with each other. This is a community. This is a great community that we have. Everyone is supportive. Everyone likes to, do something more than they usually can. So we have to stick together. We have to have our each other's back, be supportive, um, give as much as you can. That's very, very important. Give, and don't have an expectation of receiving. When the time comes, you would receive more than you are giving. So this is my thoughts, and I like to share that with you. And I know that we went half an hour more than our usual time.
Of course we did. You guys are lucky that we're not going till 12:30. You
I'm,
guys got me pumped. We're gonna do after the webinar right now. After the webinar right now. First session.
Yeah. I'm sure that when Stephen sent his slides to me and I was looking at it, I was like, thank God he has got only 9 slides, to do. And I was like happy, because I knew that the fire in him is gonna spread all, and we're gonna talk a lot on this subject, which is very, very important and crucial. And I hope that you really enjoyed this session. And thanks again, Stephen, for your time. Thanks every one of you for joining today. Take the time off and be here with us. Just one note, for today's session, we don't have any certificates. So this was just a career development and personal development session, which I wanted to give that to you. So there would not be any certificates. So please, people, don't come and ask me if there is a certificate of attendance. We give certificate of attendance for the sessions which are based on financial crime, AML, and compliance, and you will get the benefit, get the credit as well from the ACFCS on the session. But definitely, guys, we are here to help you. We like to help you guys as much as we can. Connect with us, share your thoughts, share your ideas. As Stephen said, we can work together, all of us, together, to build a better community. And don't forget that the reason why we are doing this is to fight financial crime. If we are fighting financial crime, any one of us, we cannot do this alone. We should be sticking together and, do this together. And that was my motivation of the knowledge series, to make sure that, the knowledge will be spread out to everyone. And we can share the knowledge that we are gaining, or having from this part of the world, to another part of the world. And that was, the thought behind it. And I hope that, we inspired you to come up with your own ideas, to let us know what you have learned from this session. Tell us, what inspired you most, and what was your next step. And that's very important. What is your next step? Write it down, have a plan, and execute.
Guys, I want to first of all, thank you, Susan. I don't know if you're done, but I want to leave you guys with like this inspiration that you guys are feeling is going to go away by Tuesday, because the weekend's nice and hot. You're going to go outside. You're going to be tired. You're going to be, after a long weekend outside with the kids, after a 12-week break, you're going to be tired. What you guys need to do is just think of that idea The idea that you think everyone else knows or everyone else is going to do, that's the idea to start with, because not everyone else knows it and not everyone else is going to do it. Guys, this is the time to do, this is the time to dig deep. And I'm glad, I love all the messages. You don't need a certificate for this. You don't know, like ACFCS is great. You don't need a credit from them this is what you build on your own. Okay, you build something so ACFCS comes to you, just like Susan did. This is your time to build and create, and don't think of it as competitive. You know, I tell people, like, make a group of people that are searching for jobs. People don't want to do that because they're like, oh, I'm looking for a job. I don't want to help other people looking for a job. They might take my job. No, guys, there's an abundance of jobs. Let's think about things, guys. Be creative. Don't be competitive. Help others. That's how you elevate yourself, is by helping others get to that point. Like, I'm elevated so much by seeing how much Susan's doing, and now she's pushing me to do even more. People like Ruzan, who's like was so helpful when I did the workshop. Claudius, there's just so many people. They're just helpful people, and that's why you guys think of them as industry leaders, not because of the amount of knowledge they have. It's how look at the top people in this industry. All of them are helpful. It's not about how much knowledge they have. They're just super helpful. Bob, always in the comments, helpful. That's what you think of him as an industry guru. Obviously, Bob has a ton of knowledge, but you think of how much he helps first, and then you think of this industry knowledge second. I guarantee that. Guys, being helpful is the only, to me, is the only ROI, guys. Being helpful, that's it.
Absolutely.
And you guys can message me. I don't respond to messages as much as I did before. But come on, guys. You guys don't need to message me or Susan. What you need to do is go start doing something. And it starts with a post about what you're going to do. I want to see everyone. If you got any value from this conversation, right now, go on LinkedIn and post the one idea you want to start. And what you're going to see is a lot of you guys have the same ideas, and you can work together, and you guys can build something that nobody ever thought could be built, like a knowledge series on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. that has 200 people in it. But I love Susan. I love what you guys are doing. I love you guys' support. That's it for me.
That's great. Thanks, Stephen. We really love you guys, and thank you for being with us today on a Saturday, as Stephen said. So just wanted to say goodbye and have an awesome weekend.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
Take care.